here. And look, having me, it's great to be here. And look, I've said this many times around the city. I know Hoover, but Hoover doesn't know me. I've lived in the area. I've lived by Greystone since I've been in Alabama. So it's, look, I'm truly thrilled to be here, and it's an honor to serve alongside you and alongside the men and women of the police department and work with them as their chief. Honestly, it's a thrill and it's a milestone in my career. Look, I am unabashedly from Louisiana. Let's get that out of the way right now.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Good night, Chief.
Look, y'all stole our coach, right? So we should be good, so it's okay. Right? So that's out of the way. So I had a wonderful career with the Drug Enforcement Administration with the United States Department of Justice, over 25 years. Lived across the country. Ended as my last many years as the agent in charge of all the operations in Alabama. So our main office for the DEA in Alabama is in Birmingham, and then we had offices in Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, and Dothan. So we had people across the state, and we were part of the New Orleans Still Division. And look, when I'm telling you, I have had a great career. I traveled the world, literally chasing some of the largest, most dangerous drug trafficking and transnational organized crime groups there are. And it was great. It taught me a lot about law enforcement, leadership, compassion. Right? I could talk to you for hours, and we don't have time about drug trafficking and how it destroys our communities and families, and how it's connected to the vast majority of other crimes. We don't have time for that conversation today. I was a police officer in Louisiana prior to DEA. So I tell the folks, and especially the guys at the department, look, it's good to be back being the real police, not a Fed, right? Because sometimes that does matter. But what a great way to end, working in Hoover. I tell the guys, I have to build the next generation of our department of police officers. And I'm following the Nick Saban of chiefs.
Indeed.
Literally, right?
Indeed.
So I've said this before, I said at the council meeting, probably shouldn't have been so direct, but I'll be direct with y'all. When you take a new job, right, you want to follow a loser. So I may have made my first wrong decision by accepting a job. Because that is not the case, truly, right?
Right.
And the crime rates, the low crime rates we have, the excellent police department we have, the commitment to excellence we have in Hoover, that's a heavy burden to sustain. It's a heavy burden to follow a chief that's been in place for 21 years, right? And try to continue his legacy. Where's Stephanie? She's here somewhere, right? It's my privilege. It is truly my privilege to keep Nick's legacy alive and build on what he started. It's an honor, honestly. Children and our campus is safe. I tell people this I've told it all over the state. No community can recover from a tragedy at one of our schools. They can't. It's really patrol and our school safety. Everything else at the department is collateral. It's extra. Those things are a priority. Look, the school resource officer model around the country was sometimes modeled after Hoover, with Nick being on he's still on the board for the National School Resource Officers Association, and I intend to help him with that. But one of the first things I did in Pell City was they only had 2 school resource officers. I was like, no, everything that I do is risk assessment for the community, right? And that's a risk that we can't tolerate. It's not acceptable. It is critically important to me. I actually met with all the school resource officers. We have over 30. And I met with them last week, and I outlined some plans for them to increase their training and increase their involvement. Look, I'm a guy, like, those relationships with children matter. I'm a dad first. I'm a dad. Look, I'm old, but I got a 13-year-old daughter. I'm too old for a 13-year-old. We can talk about that later.
I got an 8-year-old, if that makes you feel better.
Maybe I'm smarter than you. At least by 5 years. And their safety matters, right? We live in a very safe community, but we also live in a world that is jaded and tilted, right? And it's like we live in times that we've never experienced before, with hatred, with discontent, with people wanting to do harm. And that's job number 1. I assure you, if something was to happen in one of our schools and our campuses, I would be devastated. Now I'll speak very clearly. I would unleash the holy hounds of you-know-where. But that's devastating. Great question. Look, talking with the mayor, look, the Hoover Police Department, there's some things that we need, right? The chief mayor was very, very hamstrung by budgetary constraints. There's some line items. You would be shocked at some of the line items that were cut. I've looked at every line item in the budget, 30%. 40%.
Terrible.
You can't function like that. Our fleet, one of our main meetings is our fleet. We have 200 officers, right? 240 total staff. There have been years when they were only allowed to buy 5 vehicles. We have policemen in our city that drive 2011 vehicles, 2011. That's not Nick's fault. That's the previous administration's fault. So I would argue to you, as business owners, one of the most visible symbols of our city are those patrol cars. They are never not on your streets. And it matters, right? We talk about the standard of excellence, what we want Hoover to be. I think from a branding perspective, it starts there, is what I'll start with the department. I will tell you what I told the officers, things that matter to me, professionalism. Be professional in everything we do, right? Be proactive. We play offense in the police department, not defense, right? We attack crime. We're not going to allow crime to take a hold in Hoover. It's just not going to happen. It's my job. And I've told the officers, don't be surprised if I show up, because I will show up. Attack crime and then be compassionate. So I've told all these young officers, and Hoover Police Department is now a young department. That's not normally the way. I've told them, you're going to be somebody's hero one day. You're going to be all they have. We get called and see people at the lowest of lows and where they're desperate and have no one else. Be their hero. It matters.